Papa. Thank you, Papa Shock, for that awesome tunage. We are here today. Everyone can hear me. We've got a good mic check. Everything's good. We're ready to rock and or roll. Welcome to MyLiveChef. My overlay seems to be missing. I think I'm live. I don't think it needs to refresh. Shock. So I'm just going to go press a button to get that beautiful overlay on. There it is. I love my technology. Well, Kitty Cat, that's high praise. Thank you for letting me know that I'm distracting. I appreciate that. This isn't exactly content you can just leave on in the background. I've been accused of having a mellow voice or something. Everyone seems to hate their own voice. Okay, so I guess everyone's here, and we're just going to get this all started right now. There is, if you want to play the home game, all the recipes for today will be found here. Yeah, the eggs Benedict are everything's from scratch, including the English muffins and the hollandaise sauce. And I will go over how to fix it if it didn't refresh for you. Huh, refreshed for me. Maybe I'm just special that way. Might be a Canadian thing, eh? Yeah, I'll be going over the hollandaise sauce. It's very easy to make. It also there's a few pitfalls with it, so I'll go over the ways to fix it if bad things happen. And what else is there? So traditionally we have an English muffin. I made some yesterday. I'll show you what these look like. Not as many big poofy holes, but it's a little crumbly on the inside. It has the right density. Falls apart. These will toast up perfectly. These are super easy to make. Making bread, making dough, kneading dough, using flour for things other than as a thickening agent is I maintain that it's an essential skill, and I want to I'm going to take a break for a few streams because I think every stream so far I've baked something. But it's really easy. It's really easy to make bread. It's almost hard to screw it up. Just follow the plan. If your dough is a little too dry or a little too wet, it's easy enough to fix. None of the stuff that I do today requires a whole lot of skill. Actually, very little skill. And as usual, we don't have any excuse me, fancy ingredients. No amazing cordon bleu, red seal, high-end 5 Michelin star cuisine techniques. If I can do it, you can do it. I just make it look a little easier. Make sure there's nothing in the oven. So without further ado, we're going to get this English muffin started. I do have some of the ingredients pre-measured, which I normally don't like to do. I don't like having the TV studio magic, snap my fingers to a jump cut, and then magically everything's done and everything's prepped. The reason I don't like to do that, not just because I'm lazy, not just because I need to kill some time, it's because, and the truth is, I'd rather you see everything step by step. And it gives me a chance to answer your questions as well. So the first thing I need to do, if you're following along with the home game, Because I'm doing a very small batch, I'm doing a quarter batch, which I don't recommend unless you have a digital scale, because being off by a little bit on some of these ingredients will, the error will compound as you're doubling or quadrupling the amounts. So, I need about 100 grams of milk, give or take a few. This is probably the worst way to measure it, but here we are. And I'm only doing a quarter batch, so I'm going to make 4 English muffins. Close enough to 100. And I just want this to be lukewarm. Is my camera getting fuzzy? Ugh, dang this. Logitech, way too sensitive for the focus distance. There we go. Sorry about that. Do I need the milk for anything else? No, I don't. So just have that milk on a small pot on the stove top. On medium-low, I just want to bring it up to something lukewarm. If you really want to break out a thermometer, we're looking at 110, 120 Fahrenheit. Something warm to the touch. In this bowl, we already have our dry ingredients. So we have our sugar, our instant yeast. I was at Costco last week, and there was an incredible deal, and it's the regular price. So there was this brick, a 1 pound brick of instant yeast, not active dry, but instant yeast, and that's about a quarter of the price that I normally pay for the instant stuff, like the active dry yeast. So and I was out anyway, so I'd be a fool not to buy it. So I put most of this, a bit of a shopping tip. Here's the instant yeast, put it in a little mason jar in the fridge. The rest stays in the package, and I pop that into the freezer. You can use instant yeast straight from the freezer. I just rather keep it in the fridge just for habit. It's completely out of habit. So I know I can use it straight from the freezer. So in here I have my sugar, my instant yeast. I have a pinch-ish of salt. There's like 2 milliliters of salt in here. I have just over 1 cup of flour. And over here, I have something close to a quarter of an egg, and that's it. So I have my butter that I'm just going to warm up with the milk. It's supposed to be softened butter. I can melt it, that's fine. Some recipes are particular. If a recipe calls for chilled butter, it's usually because you're cutting it into the flour. So you want to make these sheets of these layers of buttered flour, and there's a specific reason for it. Normally you cut the butter into flour or your dough mixture when you're making a pie, something flaky. A pie crust is the best example. Otherwise, butter is butter. It's a fat. You can replace it with lard, tallow suit if you really wanted. Let's see if anything's in the chat. Yeah, Costco can be dangerous. My trips to Costco, I'm in and out in half an hour, and that's in the parking lot and leaving the parking lot in half an hour. I know exactly where all my things are at my Costco. I beeline to the 5 real places that I hit, and I don't dilly-dally walking up and down the aisles. I might stop for a minute to check the current specials on the way in, but unless something just jumps out at me and says, buy me now, I ignore it. Because I know it's too easy to get swept up in. That's not a bad price, even though it's not on sale. And I will eventually use 4,000 rolls of toilet paper at some point, so maybe I will buy that pallet of toilet paper. Just not sure where I'll put it, but I'd be a fool not to buy it at that price. Yeah. Up here, Costco's phenomenal for produce and dairy. It's really, really excellent prices. Excellent prices. So while the milk and butter are warming up, any questions so far? Anything? So the traditional English muffin base, we can toast it. I'm probably going to break out the toaster and make sure everything's nice and warm before I plate it up. I'm back on Team Keto. I just came off a 69-hour fast. Yes, I did 69 hours instead of 72, because I'm a child. Nothing in the comments. Yeah, so the bottom layer is just the English muffin, 2 halves, preferably toasted, and then we have our layer of some sort of ham. Normally we use Canadian ham. I've just got some luncheon meat, lean ham that I'm going to use, and I'm going to do a bacon weave because I do bacon all the time. And weaving bacon is, I want to make it a thing again. Make bacon great again, or something. It's just really versatile. I think it's very versatile. And then we have our poached eggs, and I'll do the poached eggs 2 different ways. One with, I don't even know how I got it, but I ended up owning clang. Oh, crumbs. How did crumbs get on here? It's wild. This bad boy. So here we have our non-stick egg poacher. So this just sits in a pan of boiling water, and lid. Give it a few minutes. A little touch of butter in each of these little wells. Pick it up, drop the eggs out, you're done. I will also poach the eggs properly in a pot of water with a bit of vinegar, and I'll show you how to do the swirl thing. Pick it out with a slotted spoon. This keeps the entire egg in shape. It cooks it perfectly every time. You don't risk anything. If you have one of these, great. If you're going to make eggs Benedict often, if you're going to poach eggs often, maybe get one. Do you need to? No. There is something different in the texture of the egg white when it's cooked in the big pot of water when it's swirling around, instead of in this basically mini mold. So that's just I normally stay away from gadgets. I just happen to have this. I will show you how to do it without this. I'm going to do it both ways, because that's how I roll, baby. That's how I roll. So then the next layer is the hollandaise sauce, which is just egg yolk and butter. And there's a few optional things in there. Some recipes call for, and lemon juice. Some recipes call for a teaspoon of cold water. Some recipes call for adding more lemon juice. Some recipes call for the butter in chunks, and then you slowly add melted butter to it. Some recipes call for cooking the eggs, the yolks, in a double boiler to start, and then you slowly incorporate the melted butter once it's off the heat, and then you bring it back to the double boiler and whisk it up. There's a bunch of different ways to do the hollandaise sauce, which by any other name is mayonnaise, because ultimately all we're doing is we're blending the egg yolk with a bit of acid, and we're incorporating a fat. We're going to emulsify it. You can do this in a blender, just like you can make mayo in a blender. This traditionally is done with a whisk. Today, though, a whisk like this. Today, I'm probably, so my carpals are acting up a little bit, I'm probably going to use a little hand mixer to do the whisking for me. And yes, is my hand mixer gadgetry? I'm a little torn on this. This is more a tool of convenience than anything else. I got this just for the immersion blender, which is really handy. Because I don't own a good multi-purpose blender, I have a old ghetto blender from the 40s, 50s. It's functional, it works, and my food processor needs to be replaced. So this is the next best thing. But there's nothing I'm doing with this that I can't do with the whisk. So I'll put these toys away for now. And that's it. We have our 4 basic layers, and then we can garnish. We can dress it up however we want. Some people put finely chopped green onions. Some people put long strips of green onion across it, or whatever greenery you want. I'm just going to throw in a pinch of paprika on top, just for that color contrast, and that goes on top of the hollandaise sauce. So we have our bread, ham, egg, something that seems like a cheesy mayo sauce, but it's a buttery mayo sauce, and the extra colored pepper on top. Super easy. And the reason this is going to take 3 hours is because the English muffins take about 2 hours of that. So until the English muffins are done, more like 2.5. Until they're done, I can't really assemble anything. And there's going to be a little bit of time juggling towards the end of the stream, I think. It's always easier if you have these things prepared in advance, because really, other than the hollandaise sauce, I could have all of this ready to go. I could have frozen English muffins, pop them in the toaster, heat up the ham, poach some eggs. While that's happening, make my hollandaise sauce in 5 minutes or less, and boom, I'm done. So if you have a little bit of this prepped in advance, it's a really, really, really quick breakfast. It's very quick. So Shining Star, while I'm waiting for this to heat up just a touch, you know what, I'm going to check the temperature. I'll have lots of time to chat during the stream. Yeah, that's good. That temperature is just fine. See, the butter is barely melting in here, so this, I mean, I can hold this. So it's a little warm. It's not hot by any stretch. And again, this is a quarter batch. This is going to make 4 3-inch-ish English muffins. If you're going to do the recipe, maybe try a half batch at first. If you want to make a bunch and then freeze, these freeze fairly well. Just make them. Just make the whole batch. These end up getting cooked in my cast iron frying pan. If you don't have one of these that's well seasoned, you can see the shininess. That's just white. This isn't, like, there's no extra oil on this. And you can see how shiny it is. I put a lot of effort into this baby. This thing is seasoned very well, and I've been using it kind of regularly for about a year now. Eventually I'll do a stream on, I'll have a little recorded segment on seasoning cast iron. If you take care of these things, they will last basically forever. Generations anyways, and that's not an exaggeration. I never let these soak in the sink. When I'm done, because this is seasoned so well, when I'm done and this has cooled down a bit, I can literally wipe it down with a paper towel, put a bit of water in it just so I can press down harder with the paper towel, pick up any detritus that's in here. I'll put that back on a hot element just to boil off the water, give it one more wipe, and it's done. I never need to touch this with soap, and it's basically non-stick because of the seasoning on it. The chemistry is kind of cool because we polymerize the oil as we season it. which means we turn our oil into plastic, which is all sorts of cool chemistry. Now, didn't want to digress, sorry. Want to make sure we're on the screen here. Perfect. Don't like that angle. The angle of the dangle. Here we go. So, all of our ingredients are in here. Again, this is a quarter batch. This is going to make 4 3-inch diameter English muffins. Get all of the ingredients. We've got our half-ish of an egg. From yesterday. I'm going to give all of this a quick stir. And then I'm going to start kneading it. And while I'm kneading it, then I can babble on about other stuff. Mariah Cat, we are doing English muffins. And ham, bacon, poached eggs, hollandaise sauce, also known as Eggs Benedict. Everything from scratch. Opa. So if you want to let Mr. Ignatz know, so you guys can make this together. Perfect. I like to vigorously flour my hands. I'm going to try to exfoliate the hairy paws with flour. Yeah, Thursdays are quite the day. There's a whole lot of entertainment here. I just need to wake up earlier so I can enjoy all of the content. Vigorous hand rubbing, nicely floured. I just hate wearing the gloves. Okay, so from here, I'm going to get my grubby little mitts. Doity. This dough comes together fairly quickly, fairly easily, and it really shouldn't need any adjusting. It's a little on the damp side, but I will go over the. You know what? I have to risk touching the camera because it's a little too far forward. Much better. Yeah, this dough is a little on the damp side. And that's intentional. That is intentional. So I'm just folding the dough over, pressing down, fold it over, press down, run it around the inside of the bowl. Hopefully have some damp exposed bits of dough. Try to pick up little straggling bits. I don't want things to dry up on the edge of the bowl and become crusty. Those pieces will become hydrated from the moisture in the dough, but it's just easier to keep the bowl clean while you're kneading. It saves time in the long run. And this dough is it's almost done actually, but I'm gonna knead it well. I want there to be a lot of bubbles. I want this to be a nice soft dough. I'm not rushing this one. But as far as the texture goes, as far as kneading time, it's a really quick dough to work with. Thank you, Wade, for sharing that link. The stream is also being recorded. It'll be uploaded to YouTube. I'll also have it, I think I'll upload it on my stream as well. So Shining Star, you said the long fast. When you get used to, when you can separate the my tummy's empty from I need energy, and you get used to being hungry, just by the little bit of conditioning. Like a one-day fast is a walk in the park for some people. I was getting a touch hungry into the second day, and then somewhere around 6 p.m., like I started my fast Sunday night at 10 p.m., and somewhere around 6 p.m. on Tuesday, I didn't feel anything at all. Like I felt no hunger. I was very well hydrated, and all I had was coffee, tea, water, salt, and that was it. Yeah, if you have low blood sugar, if you have a condition that requires you to eat regularly, I do not recommend it. Do not take your medical or nutrition advice from a Twitch streamer, as cool as you might think I am. Yeah, like if you're getting dizzy, don't do it. If it's just that you're hangry, you can work with it. I mean, don't try to do it on your first try. But I know a lot of people that get into keto and they start the intermittent fasting, so they'll do all of their eating in a preferably 4 but 8 hour window. We'll go to bed, you're not eating overnight, you wake up after 8ish hours of sleep, and then you go another 8 hours without any calories, and then you do all of your feeding in the next 8 hours. It's typically what people do. Getting to that point from eating 3 square meals is it takes some time. Some people are wired to do it right away. Other people it takes a while to push their breakfast. But if you're late with your breakfast by 15 minutes, your tummy will make noise and your tummy will say, "Grr, I'm angry." And then after a few minutes, your tummy just shuts up. And then you can eat, or you can wait. And after doing that a few times, you stop having that reaction of the clock. It's not even a Pavlovian response. Like, we do have a rhythm. You definitely can condition yourself to push back when you get hungry. Again, if you have an underlying medical condition, don't. Like, make sure you talk to your doctor first. Yeah. So this needs to be kneaded until there aren't any folds in here. I want this to be one smooth, complete ball. And if it looks like I'm getting creases in here, I need to add a little bit of moisture. So this is creasing up a little bit. I don't know if I need moisture yet. I'm just going to keep working at it. And if I do need to add a little bit of moisture, it's going to be 1 teaspoon of really warm water. I'm going to work into this dough, and then we're done. What I'm going to do right now is slightly heat up my oven. You know, Mariah Cat, one of the biggest errors that people make when they're trying to lose weight is not sleeping enough. You really can't lose weight if you're not sleeping. It just doesn't work nearly as well. Like, sleep is, I can't stress how important it is to get a good night's sleep. Okay, so this is, I don't see a whole lot of creasing on there. I could add a teaspoon of water and take a few more minutes to work this in. I don't really think it needs doing though. Okay, so this is nice and soft. You know what? I'm going to throw in just a touch of hot water. It's very dry in my place, so you might not have to do this. I probably could get away with not adding some hot water to this. probably. But I'm literally adding just a splash. That was about a teaspoon. Just, you know what, that might have been a little too much. Okay, so this is going to turn into a sloppy mess for a few minutes while the water works its magic. Gets worked into the dough. And when this is done, I'm going to make a ball. With the dough, I'm going to give it a quick spritz with some cooking spray. I'm going to cover the bowl with some cling wrap. And it's going to hang out in my slightly warm oven for the next, well, until I need the oven. I think I'm going to have about an hour and a half to let this rise. Is that right? Yeah, an hour and a half should be fine. You should let this rise at least 1 hour, preferably 2, but hour and a half should be good. Now, the difference between, and I know this came up on the first stream, and I didn't give a clear answer, so I tried answering it on the subsequent streams, but I'll bring it up again. The difference between active dry yeast and instant yeast. Active dry yeast, you have to activate first by adding the yeast with some sugar in a bowl of warm water, and then you subtract that liquid from your recipe. Instant yeast, because it's finer granules and dissolves better and activates, because of the smaller granules, it activates more nicely. You don't need to activate. You can just throw it in with your dry ingredients. Fast acting, quick rise, or speedy, whatever adjective they want to throw on it, yeast, typically only rises once. The normal dry yeasts, you can keep them activated a few times. So you can let it rise, punch it down, cut it into shapes, let it rise. Or if you want to let it rise a few times, you can do that. You can't let the speedy fast acting, ultra quick, Roadrunner style yeast, you can't get multiple rises out of it. Okay, so this, it's surprisingly chilly out here. Weird. So there's, slightly less creasing of the dough here. Got my little ball. Gonna give this a quick spritz. I should do this in a clean bowl, so I'm going to. Does that make all the noise? I hope the music's loud enough, or not too loud. The reason I spray a bit of oil on here is because as the dough rises, it's going to expand. That oil can stretch and it'll keep a film, a beautiful protective barrier to keep the moisture of the dough locked in. And the other layer of protection is this cling wrap, which at this point is overkill, but I'd rather not risk anything. You can use a tea towel, just drape it on top, and the reason a lot of the recipes for making bread say to leave it in a warm, draft-free area, because if you're covering it with a tea towel, it's porous. If you have a draft blowing above it, it's going to circulate the air inside the bowl. The air can pass through the fibers of the tea towel on top, and that can dry out the dough. So we have the two protective layers. We have the cling wrap on top to keep everything locked in, and we have the oil on top of the dough itself. So this is going to stay nice and hydrated. My oven's at about, I don't know, like 120, 130 Fahrenheit. It's just a little warm. So I turn the oven light on, and it becomes a Betty Crocker oven, and that's going to keep it warm to encourage the yeast of doing its thing until I need the oven. So far, so good. Next, your friend and mine, the bacon. I keep saying this, and I mean it with all the sincerity every single time. I weave my bacon on a regular basis. I don't do this just for the stream. I do this for myself outside of the stream. It's super convenient, and it is the best way to make bacon, in my opinion, is doing it in the oven. Even if you don't weave it, laying all of your strips of bacon on some parchment paper and popping this into the oven, it is the best way to do it. And by it, I mean cooking the bacon. I'm just going to put something heavy here so it doesn't roll up on me. I could put a little bit of butter underneath the parchment to help it stick to the sheet until I have some weight on here. This is going to move very, very soon. So, bacon. Now, with any luck, this is not perfectly shaped rectangles. Hopefully it's wonky, because I would rather demonstrate with substandard ingredients than with everything that works perfectly. Because you ain't going to learn nothing, and you're not going to be able to apply any of this if what I'm doing here doesn't match what happens to you at home. Now let's try to not cross-contaminate everything. Nothing got on there, good. Ugh, dang it. Kind of almost perfect. Okay. Going to get a few cheese strips ready. So this is really easy. It's really, really easy. I can't stress just how easy this is. We take our first strip vertically like this. Start at the top. I'm going to fold this piece up, take my next strip of bacon, now I don't want these strips to overlap, but I want them touching. And I find this works better when the bacon is closer to room temperature, just because there's less shrinkage, there's less warping of the bacon as it's cooking or it comes up to temperature. It's just more it stays in shape more consistently. It keeps the shape more consistently. And one more horizontal strip. And then it comes together very, very quickly. So this is a 500 gram package from Kirkland/Costco. Oh, and remember, every second strip, I just fold up that cross piece. And as long as these strips are basically touching, it's good, it'll work. And now, the pieces that are on top, this strip has the first cross piece on top, so this gets folded over. This one gets folded over, and it's every second strip gets folded over. I'll take my next strip, yoink, lay it across. This comes back down. Nice and easy. Doop, 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 doop. I'm not in a huge rush to cook this. I'm just going to assemble it for now. And in about 20 minutes, I'm going to preheat the oven and get the bacon going. I'm still giggling about what Wade shared with me last week about the French toast pictures on the Discord. I think it's rather hilarious that the Discord bots flagged my French toast as porn. So I guess it's official that our robot overlords have deemed that my cooking is too sexy for the internet. Amrath, eat your heart out. So, ooh, maybe I should do a collab with her. That might be fun. But with these leftover strips, what I should do is I'm going to double these up, because the rest of this weave is a double strip. There's 2 layers of bacon, except for on the very corners, like these little edge pieces that are sticking out. That's just a single layer of bacon. But the rest of the bacon weave, it's 2 layers of bacon, so I'm going to cook this with 2 layers. And this last strip I'm just going to fold in half and cook. It's a high quality sheet pan, it's not going to stick. So it's 2 layers of bacon. I think that was off screen. Here's the last 3 pieces. So here's a double layer of bacon, and then this thing is just full. This strip is folded in half. So it's going to cook consistently. I'm going to go wash my grubby mitts. If anyone has any questions so far or any requests, or if you want me to go over anything in more detail, please let me know. Always happy to babble on. I'll be right back. Will I be cooking for... Ooh! Well, if I could get out there, yeah. I can't travel right now. I have way too much keeping me stuck in Winnipeg. When our borders open up, and hopefully that's happening soon, and hopefully everything's resolved, I don't want to get into it, but January is the best time of year for me to travel, I think. Yeah, I there's no way I could do it in April. I have oh, you know what? Maybe next year I could. This year I definitely can't. Possibly next year. I've never been to Vegas. Always wanted to go. My most bestie in the whole wide world used to go to Vegas a few times a year for the Naughty Clothes Expo. For work. And yeah, he told me that he very quickly got bored of Vegas other than the shows, and the shows are just really pricey. So I think it would be wicked awesome to get together with everyone. I've always wanted to see the Vegas Strip, just to marvel in the raw decadence that is Las Vegas. I just want to see it in person once, just 'cause. I'm not a big gambler. I'm definitely not a drinker. But I just want to do it once, you know. A bucket list, something. But when I get off my butt to go traveling, I need to figure out where I'm going to do my cooking. So I'll definitely bring some stripped down gear. I'll keep streaming for sure. I do have a sushi master and teppanyaki trainer that is he's already agreed to fill in for me whenever I need. So I asked him before because I was getting carpal tunnel surgery. I didn't need to be put under for my left arm, but when I go for my right, they're doing the wrist and elbow. So they're gonna have to put me under, and Tommy agreed to fill in as I need him. So hopefully he doesn't do too good of a job and gets me fired from my own stream, but I think it'll be fun. Yeah, so you'll get to see like really high-end chef in my ghetto kitchen, and he's a funny guy, so it'll be pretty entertaining. I'm sorry the camera keeps coming in and out. I can't control it with the NDI, so I don't know. Might have to get some software just to yell at my camera. There we go. So sorry about the long-winded answer. I'd love to come out to Vegas. Can't this year. That's the short answer. What's next? I'm going to discuss double boilers, which sounds like gadgetry, but it really isn't. All a double boiler is, I hate using the same word twice in a row. What a double boiler is you have a vessel for boiling water, and then you have your vessel that goes on top that gets heated by the steam. Yeah, so deep it probably is. So the idea is I have some water in here that's boiling, and then I have a bowl that sits on top. The bowl does not touch the water, and hopefully there's a bit of a gap here so the steam can come out the sides. One of the risks is that the steam's going to come out and burn you. The other one is if the bowl tilts. Actually, this fits incredibly well. Moving the bowl after, because as soon as this gets picked up, I'll be wearing mitts, or I'll use a towel of some sort to move this. Any steam that's locked in here is going to come rushing out, so I have to be really careful and pull it towards me so the steam goes that way, because that's where the first opening is. To make the hollandaise, my live steam, you don't need to do this in a double boiler. You can do the exact same process on a lower temperature with just the pot, and you whisk the eggs together and the lemon, and as soon as it starts to thicken up just a little bit, you take your other pot with the melted butter and slowly stream it in. You slowly pour a thin stream into this mixture. And then the magic happens, and it's that it's like the lecithin in the egg yolk helps emulsify. All these big sciencey words, right? It makes this beautiful mixture of fat and protein that normally want to separate, but it keeps them together. That's the short answer. Like that's the layman's explanation. So you take these somewhat disparate ingredients, and you make this I don't want to say gelatinous because it's kind of a gross word when it comes to food, but like for mayonnaise, you take a cup of oil and some egg yolks and a bit of lemon juice, and all of a sudden you get this weird, creamy, white, room temperature, safe, amazing sandwich spread. Like, how does any of that make sense? Because of science. So what we're basically doing with the hollandaise sauce is making something really similar to mayo. And in fact, you can make your hollandaise sauce with a blender, doing exactly what I described here. I don't know if I described that on the blog. I'm just looking that up right now. Biscuits, hollandaise sauce, do, melt butter in a saucepan, heat, blah, 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 blah. Whisk eggs in a small bowl until frothy. Do stuff, do other stuff, mix, whisk, nom nom. You can do all this in a blender. Blend the ingredients other than the melted butter for about 30 seconds. Slowly add the butter, but keep blending until thick and fluffy. Yeah, that's exactly it. So if you want to play the home game, just gonna paste this in here. Boom. Play the home game. And please, feel free to support MyLiveTube. Because Mars purrs a lot, needs food, and is running low on catnip. So please be kind to Mars, purrs a lot, and support the stream. All proceeds go to the kitty cat, I think. I hope so. Otherwise, it's all sorts of false advertising. Okay, I'm going to take the dough ball out of the oven. It's poofing up a little bit. Poofing up is the technical term for rising. It's going to leave this in a stovetop. I'm going to turn my oven on to 350. Preheat the oven to 350 for the bacon. I'm going to set my timatron for 30 minutes. 30. Not 30. Oh, that's what I wanted to bring up. Silly me, and I love calling myself out for being an idiot. Last Friday was when I rejoined Team Keto. I was off intentionally for about 2.5 months because I wanted to up my protein a bunch to try to fix my metabolism because I was on way too many antidepressants for way too long, and I completely screwed up my system. I also packed on a ton of weight, which I'm not happy about. Because before the antidepressants, I was under 200 pounds, and now I'm over 200 pounds, and I don't like being over 200 pounds. Not without having a bunch more muscle on me, and I am not... As much as I like the idea, and I miss the... This is going to sound so weird. I miss the effort, I miss the discipline of getting off my ass, going outside, trudging through the cold, going to the gym to work out. There's just something really grounding for me about doing that. But I can't, because our gyms are still mask only, and I can't do what I want to do with a mask on. So I just don't have free weights or anything here, so I can do any real resistance training. And I don't want to dedicate 2 hours a day to getting all beefy again. So I'd rather be lean and hit like 189-ish, which is probably a little light for my frame. So I still have like a 48 chest, I'm 6'2", and I still have a fair bit of muscle on me, even though I haven't really worked out for ages. I still move things around from time to time. But yeah, so silly me, stupid me, I rejoined Team Keto on Friday. I have some of the old pea strips, which I don't recommend for testing things other than for novelty, especially once you've been doing keto for a few weeks, because the strips measure the presence of ketones in your urine, which means it's excess ketones that your body isn't using. And it doesn't measure how much your liver is producing. It doesn't really measure a whole lot. It just measures what's coming out. But since I wasn't making any before, I should have used the pea strips after day 1 of the fast. So I did 2 days of normal keto eating, 3, and then I started my fast, and then I didn't remember even that I had the pea strips until 2 days into the fast, and then I tested it a few times. And what I really wanted to do was have a hard workout while I was fasted, just to completely drain my body of glycogen, to see how far into ketosis I could get. And yeah, my body wasn't cooperating, and I couldn't, unfortunately, work out. Old injuries suck. Nothing new in the chat. Okay. We're at 200. Okay, so that's the ham. I'm just going to break out the other ham that we're going to use. Just lean cooked ham. Is that 3 inches? I think it's 3 inches. I could make everything nice and pretty by cutting out 3-inch discs of bacon. So I'm probably going to do that. But I could do the same thing with this ham. I mean, it's nice to have a little bit of the meat hanging over, but if I stack everything up so it perfectly fits inside of the 2 halves of the, well, perfectly fits on top of the half of the English muffin, I think it'll look good. So I'm going to keep this handy. I'm going to cut out a couple of rounds of this. Although I don't know why anyone would want the ham instead of bacon. Because seriously, if you had a choice between a bacon weave or some ham, what are you going to go for? So this giant cookie cutter is very sharp, and I need to be careful when I press down so I don't cut myself. Need to be extra careful. So this is 2 layers of bacon, I mean ham. Dang, it's not bacon. And I think I'm just going to throw this off to the side for now. I'm going to do the same thing with a sheet of bacon. At some point, this is going to be cooked. I'm just going to press down. I'll use a paring knife to just cut around the circle. Or if I was really good at eyeballing things, I could use a pair of kitchen shears and cut through this. This will hold its shape. There's actually a few gaps. This will still hold its shape, even with those gaps. Yeah, when you do your bacon weave, try to avoid gaps like this. There's actually a few here. I'm not going to say this is an unmitigated disaster. It's just not as pretty as I normally have it. Oh, there's a lot. So that's almost 4. Should throw this in the garbage and start over again. I can't do that to bacon. I love it too much. This is going to hang out over here. I'm going to hydrate. The hollandaise sauce is the last thing we're going to make. It's fairly quick and it should be served warm. The one thing that's a little tricky about the Eggs Benedict is all of the components should be kept warm until you assemble it and throw it on a plate. So I'm going to go dig up my toaster because I rarely use it. Go figure. And I think my oven's about to go beep, so I'm going to put this in. Put 30 minutes on the clock. And I will be right back. And please, if you have any questions, let me know. If you want, if you don't mind, like, share, subscribe, but more importantly, share that link with your super cool friends and get some more people watching. If you don't mind. And please and thanks. I will be right back. Do 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 do. Ba do ba boo ba do boo. Do ba do ba do ba do boo. No? I hope the algorithm didn't get too mad at that. I've done worse. If anybody out there can recommend some software to keep my camera from refocusing all the time, that would be wicked awesome. Please let me know. I know that through Streamlabs directly, you can stop it from focusing. You can set the focus manually. But I don't seem to be able to do that here. Yeah. More skating. Well, I'm going to get the other ingredients together. 3 egg yolks. 1 lemon. Okay. Need a separate bowl. Oh, silly me! I almost forgot. I have a completely separate recipe that I need to do here. Whoopsie! I knew I had something else. Yeah. We're going to. Oh, scatting. Okay. I vaguely remember that there was some interesting synergy here. So, the hollandaise needs egg yolks. The almond flour biscuits, which I think are absolutely amazing, need the egg whites. Yolks and whites come from the same place. It's magical. So, because these are farm fresh eggs, I'm going to break them over this bowl and take a good look at them before I start separating them. The yolks are going to end up here, and the whites are going to end up in here. But they get broken over this first, just in case we have some unwanted surprises in here. So I'm very carefully, let me get this on the screen, very carefully pulling this apart. And then I'm just going to transfer the yolk back and forth. I'm going to try to pinch this slimy stuff off with the shell, and hopefully it'll fall out by itself. Perfect. So we have one yolk. If you pour it back and forth between the cups, enough of the white will fall off. So if by some strange reason you happen to get an eggshell in with your egg white, you don't freak out, you don't throw it all in the garbage, you don't stab at it with your fingers or chopsticks. You got the perfect device in your hand to scoop it out. And just like magic, this cuts right through the egg white and lets you pick up, at least manipulate, the eggshell. If you try to do this with another implement, I'm just going to get that back in there and give a better example. Yeah, there's the shell, hiding under the little piece of booger. If you try to do this with something else, what you're likely to do is just push the egg shell around. But right now it's on the bottom of this eggshell. And I'm going to pour out the egg white. Just going to keep this little solid piece in place just to, get all the egg white I can out of the egg. That, my friends, is the kitchen hack for egg whites. The egg whites are going to be beaten to firm peaks, so I need this bowl to be absolutely spotless. Again, I crack this over bowl, and then I just pass this back and forth. Now, if I happen to have my yolk break and contaminate the egg white, I'm just going to save this and use it later. And don't be lazy and try to save time or steps and do all of your yolks and all of your whites at the same time. Because if I was separating half a dozen eggs and I had 5 egg whites in here, and then my 6th egg ruptures the yolk and I get yolk in here, yolk's on me. It only has to happen to you once a year, and then any time that you might have saved becomes very quickly wasted. The cost too. I mean, I'll still use, if I do make a mess in here, I'll still use the eggs, but it's just a pain in the butt, and it's just a sloppy mistake. Just gonna wash my hands. Kalang! So this recipe, weird. Mariah Cat, that's cool. I appreciate you always tuning in. It's really awesome of you to drop by and hang out with me. I'm going to pour 1 tablespoon of lemon juice into this cup for later use. And then I'm going to get to the keto biscuits. Some recipes will call for 1.5 tablespoons of lemon juice. Indirectly, they'll call for the juice of half a lemon, which in my not quite so humble opinion is one of the stupidest ways of measuring volume. Because I've seen lemons that are this big, I've seen lemons that are this big. The juice content of half of each of those, significantly different. Again, way too many years in post-secondary being way too pedantic about specifics. But in general, the juice of half of a medium lemon, whatever that means, is about 1.5 tablespoons. Okay. And this is going to need just a pinch of salt and pepper that I'll get to later. And the butter. Do I have a cup of butter handy? No, I don't. Bud. La beurre salée. The butter of the room. No. The butter room would be the salon de beurre. Yeah. What's Rude Girly, Arizona, what's weird for me is if I don't eat anything, it doesn't bother me. It's when I have a snack, after a few hours, I feel ravenous. So for me, it's easier to not eat anything than it is to have a couple of snacks during the day. I don't know if that's normal. I don't know if I'm normal. I don't even know what normal is. I'm not just saying that either. I really don't. Okay, so in here, I need to whip these eggs. I'm going to get my Whippatron together. This is going to need to hang out in the fridge for a few minutes. I am going to, I hate doing this. I just have to carefully move some of these cables. Unfortunately, every time I touch anything in this room, I risk my cameras freezing up, especially my Logitech, just because it's really, really touchy. I don't know why. Oh, that's sweet. What's in here? That's hot chocolate next. We have coconut flour and some almond flour. Okay. So again, for everyone playing the home game, we are doing I don't think I'm ever going to intentionally I'm not going to push to make keto dishes. I'm just making the gluten-free biscuit version. And these biscuits that I'm going to make with the almond flour and the egg whites, they are, in my opinion, the best biscuits that I make on a regular basis, and they just happen to be keto. So I really like them. So I think it's a really, really solid recipe. But just like all of the keto recipes, this one requires a whole bunch of eggs. So I actually need 2 more eggs. Going to break these over on the other bowl. That egg looks good. You guys want to see me break an egg one-handed? Apparently it got quite the reaction last time. People were all like, oh my god, I can't believe you did that. It's so elite of you. Whatever that means. So the whole idea is you give the egg a crack on the edge, you push your thumb nail into the egg, you just pop the top open, and the egg comes out. And if these eggshells weren't so flimsy, it would have looked a lot better. But that's the whole idea, is you just make a crack, you push your thumb nail through it, and hopefully you have enough of a crack that you could just pop the top and pour the egg into there. Yeah, it looks fancy. I really don't recommend it. I did a couple of two-handed, like, simultaneous egg things the other day on my stream. The problem with showing off is when you fail, because you will, you look really, really dumb. So I'd rather not set myself up for failure like that. If you really want to, you can practice it just like chopping quickly. If you really want to do it just to show off, practice it. It's like any other skill. I've done this thousands of times, probably thousands, at least 1,000. I hadn't done it for years, and then somebody asked on the stream, I think last week, can you crack an egg with one hand? I'm thinking, yeah, I can. The reason I don't is because if I screw it up, I'm going to look like a total, jackass or something. Yeah, so don't do it, Danny don't does. Well, Mariah Cat, the worst case is the second worst case is you get eggshells, and you already know how to fix that problem. So, I mean, if that's your second worst problem, you're ahead of the game. Yeah, Casper's Claw, it really isn't hard, but you don't know how the eggshell is going to break, because you just don't know the thickness or how rigid it's going to be, or if the egg's going to shatter on you. Yeah. Factory eggs, they're just a lot more consistent. So if you're going to practice, just use your store-bought eggs, and you should get the hang of it in no time. When I break my eggs, one thing that I always consciously think of is that I'm pulling the eggs apart, that I'm separating them. I'm not just breaking it and letting that crack run all the way through. I'm pulling the egg apart. I know, Casper's Club, that's exactly it. Like, I got all sorts of fun backups so I don't look like I'm totally incompetent, but when I go to do it with one hand, unless I set up the joke in advance, the gag, the yuck in advance that I'm going to screw it up, it's hard to sell that I didn't actually screw it up unintentionally. Yeah, true, accidents happen, but when you avoid situations where you can have accidents, safety first, that's when things generally work better. So I have this. I was the default health and safety officer for a mechanical trades company well, we didn't really start doing health and safety for the first couple of years, but like I had my first aid, my CPR, and so on. But I was like the head safety guy for 7 or 8 years, and we had like 48 employees, 49 at our peak. And everyone had to fill out the safety forms, and I had to refresh everyone's training, and I had to stay on top of all the construction safety stuff. Yeah, safety first, I know. Oh, I got some funny stories about that. Speaking of piercings, I'm going to mute the microphone for just a minute while I whisk this up with the handy dandy Whiskatron. So hang tight, and I'll tell you about piercings and safety. So I should have described this in advance. What I want to do is get, I'm back. What I want to do is get as much of the beaters underneath the egg, because I want to whip in as much air as possible. Unfortunately, I made a bit of a mess of myself. This bowl was too shallow and too wide to do this properly, so I should have used a taller cup and whisked it in there. If I was doing this by hand, it would have been a lot easier, but with this gizmo, I was trying to get in at a steep angle, so I made a bit of a mess. But when I pull this up, the eggs, they come up and then they fold over. I should whip this up a little more, but I know that it's good enough for the recipe. If you want to get stiffer peaks, you can use some tartaric acid, cream of tartar, or really any vinegar will do. Just a couple of drops is all you need, and it helps the formation of it's basically meringue. Well, it is meringue. It helps whip up the egg whites and helps it keep its shape. Now I don't want to use this bowl because it's too warm. I want to get use this bowl for the dry ingredients. So I need just a second to find a bowl to use. It's all very temporary, good enough. Good enough. I don't really care that I have raw egg white. I just rinsed off the beater. Because what's going to happen there is the next time I use it, it's going to be with the egg whites. The egg yolks in the hollandaise sauce. So I need 1 cup of almond flour. You know, maybe I should have done a half batch of this, but I really like these biscuits and they will last here for a few days, so fair enough. I can shake the cup inside of the bag to level it off, or if I wanted to be really thorough, I could run the flat end of a butter knife. All roads lead to Rome. Most keto recipes, you don't need to be at all precise. There's a lot of tolerance for error in the recipes, which is especially good for people that are just getting into, just signing up for Team Keto, because a lot of people don't know how to cook. So it's my mission to fix that. 1 tablespoon of coconut flour. Coconut flour is very, very thirsty. It absorbs twice as much liquid as almond flour does. And it's a great way to thicken things up, but not the way cornstarch or flour thickens things up. Like, it'll just absorb the moisture. But you still have this bulk that's gonna leave something kind of crumbly behind. You're not going to add coconut flour in most recipes to gently thicken things up. You're going to make little clumps, usually, of coconut flour. 1 whole teaspoon of baking powder. A tablespoon of psyllium husk powder, also known as Metamucil, without the flavoring. Which is up here. Oh, I hate touching these cables. That's the 5-minute timer on the bacon, which is kind of perfect. I love hearing the tunes in the background. I actually listen to this mix on my own. It's very soothing. You need 1/2 teaspoon of salt. 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And sorry if I've been neglecting the chat. I'm back. That'll get my day. Yes. Wait, what will? I haven't answered my questions on the Discord. Sorry, I will definitely be getting to those right after the stream. Half teaspoon of salt. Yeah, and the rest is the stuff. I need to quickly melt 2 tablespoons of butter. Easy said and easy done. Okay, I need 2 tablespoons of butter. And then I'm going to need a half cup. So what I'm going to do is measure off a half cup first. One-quarter cup, 1/4 cup. This labeling is totally wrong. Isn't it? Let's find out. One-quarter, there we go, 1/2. 2 tablespoons, give or take. I'm going to need this in a few minutes. Well, more than a few minutes. It's for the hollandaise sauce. So what I'm going to do with this, once I add the melted butter, I'm going to fold everything together. I'm going to fold the egg whites into this. I'm going to cover this mixture and let it sit in the fridge for 20 minutes. Then I'm going to bake them. And what I'm going to do is make my little muffins, and then I'm going to make a little flat slices for my eggs Benedict, just because I'm not going to have the English muffins. Okay, so this butter is mostly melted. I'm going to just give it a few more seconds. How hot is this? Yeah, it's just warm. Good. Okay. Now, so here I add my 2 eggs. A lot of eggs in keto cooking. A lot of eggs. Don't run to 7-Eleven. Just make your own. So much cheaper. I mean, it takes a little bit of time. They do freeze fairly well. Uh-oh. Is it time to look at the bacon? The bacon needs just a couple more minutes, which is good. So this looks like it might be a little too wet, especially because I'm about to add 3 egg whites to it, but that almond flour does absorb moisture, and that coconut flour is super thirsty. So from here, I literally fold in the dry stuff, So I literally just take it and fold it over. I want these egg whites to help keep some of the shape. I don't want to vigorously mix this. And I don't care that it's a wet, sloppy mess. It's going to firm right up after I let it hang out in the fridge for 15-20 minutes. So again, I'm literally just folding the batter over, trying to incorporate the egg whites that are whipped up. This is going to help give it some shape. So I don't want to be stirring this very quickly. I don't want to be really aggressive with this because these egg whites, they're going to stiffen up like this and they're going to help keep their shape. The baking powder is also going to help create some volume, and hopefully the proteins from the eggs and the binding from the fat with the nut flours will be strong enough to capture some of those bubbles, so this will puff up a little bit. And what we're left with is something that's strangely, it's really weird, a really fantastic biscuit. A really fantastic biscuit. And it's super quick and easy to make. Like start to finish, if I'm not babbling, if I just rip the ingredients out of the fridge, throw everything together as quickly as possible, it's from the fridge to the table, 45 minutes. Half of that is just waiting for this to hang out in the fridge. And almost half of that time is just baking this. Okay, that's good enough. I'm going to cover this and not lick my finger. I mean, I could. I ain't afraid of no salmonella. But you should be. Got my roll of cling wrap. 20 minutes in the fridge, and then we're going to cook these up. This has puffed up a little more. Lots of time. Now, the moment I've been waiting for, maybe you too, the bacon. What I like to do, and what I'm going to do, find a spatula. I'm going to transfer the bacon onto the paper towel, and then put another layer of paper towel on top to soak up some of that excess fat that I don't want. Okay. So remember when I said that bacon weave was substandard? I think it still looks pretty good, right? Come on, you love it. So this is how easy it is to pick up. And it holds its shape. These two strips, perfectly cooked. Strip folded in half. Strip folded in half, perfectly cooked. Pan is very warm. I want to put this down. Balanced precariously. Okay, safety first. I'm just gonna do this. Enjoy the moment. I know, right? It does look so good. I clipped. I made a clip of cutting a little heart out of my a bacon weave earlier this week, whenever. But if they hold their shape like this, the bacon weave itself is pretty strong. Like I can cut out a shape out of this, and it will hold its shape. Like it'll keep that form. So when I take this and cut around it with a paring knife, that disc I can flop around and it will stay intact. And when I bite into it in a sandwich, the bacon's not going to fall apart, not till the last few bites. So I don't know if you've ever had a BLT where there were strips and you bite into it and the bacon falls out and it's just annoying. It doesn't happen when you weave your bacon. I mean, there's so many reasons to weave it. Plus, look at that. Come on. Come on. Now, if the Discord bots, you know, block this for porn, okay, guilty. Guilty. I still think that's hilarious. And it's really easy to do this. It really is. And for anyone that's new that's tuning in, I don't do this just to flex about it. This is how I cook my bacon normally. If I'm being especially lazy and I don't want to even weave it up, I will still bake my... Because look at this strip of bacon. It's perfectly done and it's not all crinkly. Like, this is amazing for sandwiches. And then once this... I'll leave this out to dry up a bit. It'll crisp up. Then I have these strips of bacon lying around. They don't lie around for very long. They tend to disappear. The kitchen fairies really dive into these pretty quickly. But, and the mess from here, it's... I mean, if I was a little more careful, I would have used more parchment paper and covered the end, and everything would have been captured in here. I let this cool down a bit. I just gently wrap up the parchment paper, throw it in the garbage, and then the baking sheet just needs a quick little wipe. Conveniently, I have some bacon fat that I'm going to preserve from this. Yeah. What is the time at? It is 5:30. I have an hour and a half. 10. I'm going to turn up the oven to 400. I'm going to get my baking trays ready for the almond flour biscuits. Oh, hey, that's genius. Okay. Sometimes I almost act like I know what I'm doing. I'm going to use my little mini loaf pan. And I'm going to fill in 2 of these with the almond biscuit mix. And I'm going to end up with biscuits that are this shape, and that's what I'm going to use for my Eggs Benedict. And what I'm going to do is eventually cut out a strip of bacon, a piece of bacon, to put directly on top. So what I will do is after I pop the biscuit out of this mold, I'll put it on top of the bacon weave. I'll just use scissors and cut around it. Then I'll have a perfect piece of bacon to go on top of my biscuit. In the meantime, I'm going to butter my pan with bacon fat from over here. Oh yeah. And if I get some bacon bits in here, just extra flavor, baby. Extra flavor. I haven't had Eggs Benedict in quite some time, and one of my viewers asked about if I could do some keto breakfast stuff, and I thought, well, yeah, I mean, eggs are a huge part of most keto recipes because they're so versatile. It's an amazing protein, dirt cheap for what they are. The benefits of eggs they're pretty significant. The weird thing is, a normal large egg has between 0.5 and 0.6 net grams of carbs. And you wouldn't think that an egg has carbohydrates, but it does. Effectively, is it a negligible amount? Yeah, it's negligible. And if somebody's really going to eat 40 eggs to hit 20 net grams of carbs and still have stuff on top of that, I don't think many people could actually physically eat 40 eggs in one day. Oh, and the number 20 grams is the target for the more strict of the keto practitioners. What am I? Yeah, I don't need that anymore. Again, I could grease this up with butter, but I got my beautiful bacon, so I'm just going to use my bacon. I'm going to grease up 6 of these little cups just in case I have enough batter. Because those 2 mini loaf wells is probably going to be half the batter. Yeah, I'm done with this. Preheated, nice. Just going to move this pan out of the way, and then we have the show on the road. Okay, you can stay there, and you can stay there. Oh, this pan is where I'm going to be letting the biscuits rise, and it's a little warm from being on the stove. I want to cool this down because I want the biscuits themselves, the English biscuits, the English muffins, to rise in this pan because they're going to be. I'm going to cook them in this pan. So I'm just going to let this hang out on the floor for a bit. I'm going to get everything else started right now. Let's get this started. Wonk. So this work of art needs to move. Okay. So the biscuits, English muffins. I keep using those words interchangeably. In my mind, they literally are interchangeable. But my mind is a scary place to visit. So I want to gently press this down. You can see these little bubbles that are coming out. Still nice and damp. So what I want to do is cut this into 4 even pieces. If you do the whole recipe, it's 16. Now what I should do, and I'm probably not going to because I'm just being lazy, I should weigh this. And measure 4 even pieces. The other thing that I probably should do is find my 3-inch diameter. Yeah, it's this. I'm going to stretch this out just a little bit. And what I'm going to do is just going to work. One sec, I want to measure that this is 3 inches. Something seems a little off. Yeah, it's very off. It's 4 inches. What the heck am I thinking? Like, that doesn't look right. No, sir, that doesn't look right at all. There's 3 inches-ish. Okay, much better. Because I was thinking I should be able to get 4 of these out of this. I'm like, I don't see that working. So. Okay. So if you don't have a very, very well seasoned cast iron pan like this, spray it with some non-stick cooking spray. If you have a non-stick pan that really is non-stick, like it's fairly fresh Teflon, that's fine. What you can do is put some semolina flour, some like farina stuff. I guess you could use some cornmeal. I trust my pan. I'm just going to knead this together, roll it out to the approximate same thickness, and cut out 2 more discs. You don't have to be this meticulous. You could just chop this into your pieces, the desired number of pieces, and then just loosely form it into the something circular, and you're good. That was about the right thickness. Give or take. Was it? Nope. I'm being a little lazy here, a little too lazy. I still want these to look nice. I could, maybe should break out a rolling pin. I'll get a rolling pin. For a lot of doughs, you'll find this if you ever make your own pasta. If it keeps pulling together as you're rolling it out, it needs to rest longer. But I don't have the luxury of that time. So I need to just force this into place. Let it retract as far as I think it's going to go. Much better. Okay, we have 70 minutes, lots of time. Those almond flour biscuits only need about 15 minutes in the oven. And these things need 20 minutes to rise one more time. These things are the English muffins. And then 25 minutes or so to cook. Okay, so I'm making them extra pretty just for you guys. Wow, I actually have room for one more. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do something fun with this one when I make my biscuits, the keto ones. This off to the side for now. If I did use the semolina flour on the bottom, I put some on top. I loosely cover this with some parchment paper and I let it hang out for about 20 minutes just so these rise a little more. No, Sudeep, you can't. Terribly sorry, my microphone is muted. So 2 tablespoons of the batter into each of these wells. And what I could do is put some chopped up jalapenos or jalapenos, some cheddar, some caramelized onion, whatever biscuit stuff you want. I could sprinkle some cheddar or Parmesan, whatever cheese I want on top. Yeah. These might be a little small. They will puff up a little bit, but these will be good tasty little treats in a few minutes. And now for this. I want roughly the same depth. And here I'm just showing that this is a very versatile recipe. It bakes up like a biscuit, acts like a biscuit, it is a biscuit. Now what's the technical culinary definition of a biscuit? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what distinguishes a bun from a biscuit. And if somebody really wants to Google that for me, that'd be wicked awesome. Again, not looking to win any beauty contests here. Good enough. This is going to go into the oven for close to 20 minutes. Now I have this last piece here. Where am I putting this? I could put it in here. Yeah, I'm going to slather this with some bacon fat. I'm just going to put it into this little container here. Everything's going in the oven at 400 for about 15 minutes. You know what I should really do is put some cheese on this, which I'm going to do after I quickly wash my hand, and then we're almost done. Okay, the oven, 400, seems a little high. I'm a little high. 20 minutes or until golden brown and a toothpick comes out clean. I'm going to set 15 minutes on my clock and we'll see how it looks. I said I was going to put some cheese on that. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. Just a little bit of cheese. I'm assuming that's on camera. That's on screen. Okay. 15 minutes. Boom. What is next? What is next? What is last is the hollandaise. The Tom hollandaise sauce. What is the time is that? We have 1 hour left. Yeah, I think we're good. I'm gonna let I'll show you what these look like right now. These are puffing up a little bit. A little bit. Just going to leave them alone for another 10 minutes or so. I'll leave them alone for 15 minutes. We've got lots of time. So what's going to happen is, in the pan, I'm going to turn the heat up to medium, and I'm going to let them cook for somewhere around 6-7 minutes aside. The internal temperature needs to hit close to 200, like 190 to 200 is fine. And then dark golden brown on both sides. And then I let them cool, and I leave them alone. And the proper way to cut an English muffin in half is not with a knife, but with a fork. So what you do is, show me, don't tell me. So these are cold and kind of hard because they were made last night and put in the fridge. But what you do is you shove your fork in. You shouldn't eat English muffins warm. You should let them cool down to room temperature, but you want them fresh. Maybe a touch warm. You're gonna toast them anyways. When I say you don't want to eat them warm, like you don't want to eat them straight out of just freshly cooking them, you need to let them cool down. So now that I've gone around the whole English muffin, now we can pull this apart. And that, my friends, is the proper way to separate your English muffin. This goes in the toaster. Yeah, I know. See, normally I'm the 12-year-old in my group, and when I'm streaming I have to pretend that I'm an adult, and I really don't like it. It's just not my nature. It's just not my nature. The local shorthand for "that's what she said" is just saying oink, because I'm such a piggy. So it's even faster just to say oink, and we all chuckle because there's always something naughty in there. Time to hydrate. 1 second. There we go. I have 12 minutes left. You know what I should do? I think I should start poaching some eggs. We have an hour left. We've got all the time in the world. Yeah, those take 15 minutes to cook and then another 10 to cool down. I'm just going to get the eggs ready. I'm not going to start them yet. So I am going to get 2 eggs for DJ Nuvo and 2 eggs for myself. One thing that's a little off-putting with the poaching of eggs, traditionally in the boiling water, is they get very wet. They're kind of loose and they're wet. Go ahead and say it. I know you want to. Yes, very wet, very loose. Twink. So you take your slotted spoon and you can very gently pick the poached egg up and let it go into onto a plate that's lined with paper towels, just to soak up some of the liquid. When it comes out of my egg poachatron, again, this is a gadget. I don't recommend using it, but I have it, and you might have one lying around. Oh, I should put some bacon fat on this instead of butter. I'll be right back. Yeah, Casper's Cloud, it's all time management, really. It's when you're prepping a big meal, it's good. It's a good idea to work in reverse. Unfortunately, I need to sort of wing some things on the stream. I guess I don't like scripting things all that much. Like if I was preparing a complex dinner, I would write down the timeline of when things are happening and when things have to be in the oven and so on. Something like this where I know roughly how long the components take, I can adjust on the fly. Like I have 55 minutes left, I've got tons of time. Valentine's Day, I'm doing, what day of the week is that? 4 days from now. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Streaming. That's what I'm doing. I'm probably going to make some Valentine's treats for DJ Nuvo out of a bacon weave and make some Valentine's hearts for her. And maybe probably some sort of ice cream, some sort of cake, some sort of really fancy dessert. Maybe a cheesecake, I don't know. I'll do something nice. I haven't made cheesecake for a while. Tomorrow I'm making the keto fat bombs. Laura Mom's birthday. Sweet. Yeah, I'm not really, I don't want to sound like I'm anti-corporate, like anti-establishment guy just because it's been done to death. I really don't care about Valentine's Day. Flowers cost 20 times as much for some reason because of supply and demand. There's just way too much obligation on people, on someone to spend too much on gifts for going out to too expensive, too fancy of a restaurant instead of just celebrating the people that you want to be with. If you want to take someone out and treat them to a nice night out, I don't know. There's something to be said for tradition, but I guess the corporate holidays just don't really appeal to me. That's me though. Like if it's your jam and you like the Valentine stuff, knock yourself out. Douche. Ow. Okay, 6 minutes, 9 minutes on the biscuits. How are they doing? They're doing okay. The biscuits out of the ice cream scooper, I could have pressed them down. I'm assuming they're going to spread out enough. Yeah, real Farina, and that's exactly it. That's exactly it. Yeah. That's why I don't like the Hallmark holidays. I shouldn't need to pay for the reminder that I'm supposed to be doing something. And if I want to take somebody out for romantic dinner, it should be because I want to take them out for a romantic dinner, not because I'm obligated to because of some square on a calendar. 5 minutes left on the first 15 minutes. Okay, so these are good enough. I'm going to turn the heat on to medium, and this is going to be about 7 minutes aside. I didn't bother with the semolina flour. I trust my pan is non-stick enough for it to work. Right, right. I also think that the expectations from the corporate holidays, I think they're unfair for everyone. Yeah, exactly. I think we're all on the same page. And it's probably different when you're younger and you have that puppy love going on and you just want to like run out and play in the fields and pronk around. And pronk is a word. Gazelles do it. Deer in Saskatchewan pronk. Yes. When you're old farts like us, pronking just ain't as much fun anymore. I actually like the idea of having a little extra time for the hollandaise sauce, just because I'm hoping that I have a bit of a mishap with it, so then I can go through the ways to fix it. So really, really quickly, if the mixture breaks, like if it just separates, if it doesn't thicken up, if it doesn't stay thick, if it becomes runny again because the emulsion isn't taking hold, there's basically two ways to fix that. You can take some really hot water, just a tablespoon, in a separate container, and slowly drizzle in your current mixture, and try to reactivate the lecithin with the hot water, and then slowly bring the rest of the mixture in with the stuff that's being reconstituted. That can work. The other way to fix it is to just add an extra egg yolk and try to get the lecithin in that to fix things. If you've tried each of those twice, make scrambled eggs and start over. It's the exact same thing with making mayonnaise. It's the exact same process. I will show you what the biscuits are looking like in the pan. See, they're sliding around. Completely non-stick. Completely non-stick. And again, the heat is just on medium, something around 7 minutes till it's like a dark golden brown. Flip it over, same thing, and then it should be done. I'm going to run the thermometer in the middle. I'm looking for about 200 Fahrenheit. If it's less than 200 Fahrenheit, I can keep heating it up on the stovetop. I can pop it into the preheated oven. That's at 350 for 10 minutes. Or if I'm really confident, I can just take it off the heat and let it cool down and hope that the moisture that's not at the core is still hot enough to disperse and finish cooking. The batch from last night was a little underdone according to the thermometer, but after I let the biscuits, the English muffins, cool down completely, they were cooked. Okay, so that's 15 minutes. I'll show you what these biscuits look like right now. Oh, these are almost done. So here's the 2 scoops, the 2 tablespoon scoops. That's probably cooked. Probably cooked. And then my low-heat pan. There's the biscuit English muffin dough with the cheese on top, nice and crispy on the outside. These need just another minute. I'm going to leave this in here as well before I put my hand. Going to get a little cooling rack. These just pop out nicely. Grr, who one did? Bottom's perfectly done. So what we do from here is I like to just very gently, very carefully, not drop everything, just break this loose if I can by running my silicone spatula around the outside. Try to pry up the bottom just a touch, and hopefully break these little biscuits loose. Well, we have one casualty, that's fine. Okay, so these are perfectly done. And these taste like honest-to-God real biscuits, because they are real honest-to-God biscuits. And they are rather tasty. So, these bigger ones, hopefully I can coax out without too much hassle. This cheese one is going to be a touch difficult to break free, just because of the melted cheese and because I'm trying to not burn myself. Because as much as I love these fancy oven mitts, they're not made out of asbestos. I'll flip this over. Beautifully done. Beautifully done. Now this mini loaf pan probably needed a little more seasoning. I don't think I need my oven anymore. I'm going to get my tongs and show you what the biscuits currently look like. Flip them over. Oh, I'm going to get my thermometer because I think they're done. Thermometer says 160, 180. It's not going to be 200. It's going to be over 180 though. So I'm just going to give these a few more minutes on the other side. These might be a little too big. Said no whenever. Just gonna let them cook for just a couple more minutes and then they're done. And then we're gonna make us some hollandaise. And then bring it all together. Yeah, this stuck to the bottom of the pan. I'm not happy with that. I think I need to get some new USA pans. These things have had their day. I've had these for a good number of years. Can't complain about them finally dying on me. I mean, I guess I could. I'm not going to though. I'm going to move all of these out to the other room to cool down, so I have some room to work with. 1 second. There's the biscuits, English muffins if you will, and I will be right back to make the hollandaise sauce while these cool down, and then we'll assemble everything. Everything goes off. On the cast iron pan, still nice and clean. There's a couple of crumbs in here. That's fine. Next, we poach some eggs. Now, lemon juice, and water. I'm going to cook the eggs, the first batch, with the fancy dancy toy. So I got my scratch to heck little wok frying pan with enough water. Once that comes to a boil, I'm just going to put the eggs with the gizmo in here, put a lid on it. 3 minutes is all it should take. So in the meantime, I'm going to crack a couple of eggs in here. Oh, Mariah Cat. Well, thanks for tuning in. Ooh, thanks for all the corgos. I hope they play well with Mars Purrs a lot. And yes, I know. I should be cracking this over another bowl and then transferring it to here. The reason I'm not is because I'm out of bowls and out of room. One of these days I will record my intro video and I'll show you just how tiny, eggshells. Remember what I said about being lazy? Now it bites you in the butt. Yeah. Fortunately, I have the world's greatest eggshell scooper upper picker remover, doohickey known to man, in my hand. Okay, that water is almost boiling. I don't need this just yet. I think I'm done with this large mold for now. And this cup. And I'm done with these measuring implements. Yeah, at this point, me complaining about how little room I have in my kitchen, how little counter space I have, it's pretty much a meme. Like, from here, center line, I have this much room. Before I get to my computer, I have like 2 feet by 2 feet. That's my counter space. Okay, the water is boiling, so I'm going to take these eggs, pop them into here, throw a giant lid, on the whole affair. 3 minutes on the clock. Let's see what happens. In the meantime, I know that those are going to come out a little wet. Yes, that is what she said. Just a little. Nowhere near as wet as the old school traditional way of cooking them will come out. Just going to get a paper towel for this. Meantime, I'm going to get this other pot ready. I'm going to do the smart thing and boil some water in the kettle first. Shining Star, thank you for the cheers. We're so close to a hype train. We're so close to a hype train. Let's do it. Let's get that hype train started. I believe in you. You can do this. Ten seconds. Oh, might have already passed. Dang. I know I have a little bit of a delay. Oh. At my last job, it was surprising how often I got to say chronomancy is not allowed. And I was serious. Because my office staff they tried really, really hard to fake their timestamps for their work and backdate things. And my technicians were equally bad for the same thing. And you'd figure in a mechanical trades company, the word chronomancy would not come up particularly often. For me, it came up about once a week. Three minutes on the clock. Let's see what these look like. I am gonna lay this down though. Yeah, these are a little underdone. These need a little more time. Just a bit. They're close. It's close to being done. I'm going to give it another 2 minutes. Let's get this done. Quick. 4 times 15 divided by 250. So I need a 1/4 cup of vinegar. It's about 4 tablespoons, depending on what kind of cup you talk about. I'm going to add a couple of liters of water to this, and this is where I'm going to be doing my boiling. About 350. Pretty much. Do I need that for anything? That bowl? No. No, this bowl is also done. Get thee to convent, nunnery. I think we're going to end this just about perfectly on time. How did that happen? I'll drink to that. I will actually be back in just a second. Just a second. These eggs in the little poachatron thing need another minute or so, and then I think we'll be ready. Okay, I think this is mostly done. These are poached a little firm, I think. So, I'm going to gently pry these out. Now, here's the only thing, probably the trickiest part of today, is the, maybe the hollandaise is trickier. I need to move the camera. Hopefully this doesn't blow up on me. Oh, I hate moving this cord. If you want to support me by getting me a camera, it's actually not the camera, it's the NDI license. That's the real problem. Okay, so for the old school eggs, what we need to do I need to slide the egg from a plate into there. So once the water is boiling, I need to give this thing a little swirl to get some cyclonic action happening. And hopefully that swirling keeps the egg mostly intact. And you can see the egg is staying mostly together. Mostly. Except for this straggler up here, which I'll scoop together anyways.
I think we need to add it in a cup or something on a plate, just because the white needs to be fairly incorporated together, you know?
The water wasn't swirling around quite as much as I wanted. I'll try that. I'm used to these things sticking together a little better. It's been a long time since I made these though, so maybe I just have some fond memories that aren't entirely accurate.
I know what that's like.
This stuff, yeah, that is what she said. Okay. This, somebody brought it up, it wasn't me. But I explained the oink.
Oh, you did?
I did. So as far as Eggs Benedict goes, these are going to look way, 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 way prettier. That's going to be more dippy. So I don't know if you can see how gelatinous this is. It's still jiggly. I'm just putting that on my plate. So egg number 2. Swirl, swirl. I don't know what rhymes with swirl. Well, thank you, DJ Nuva. That stayed together a heck of a lot better than from the plate, although it is already falling apart on the side. We'll see what happens. Again, 3 minutes on the clockatron. Let's see what happens. The chronometer. Just want to make sure the egg poaching keeps moving around. Come on, keep moving. You can do it. Let's stay together a little better. Just swimming along, doing its thing. I don't know why it's so attracted to this side of the pot. It's weird. It's like it's trying to escape. I mean, if I was in a pot of vinegared boiling water, I'd be trying to escape too, but... Yeah, I think this is done. One poached egg. Jiggle, jiggle, jiggle. This goes on the paper plate, paper towel lined plate. And now we're going to get our holiday sauce underway. while I do a little bit of Tetrising over here. Okay. Yet this goes over here. This goes over here. This picked up some moisture, so I want to wipe it down because this is where this pot is where I'm going to be making my sauce. Okay, last time I moved the camera for the day. Oh. Paper towel, eggs, still jiggly. Now, here is where it gets a little tricky. Hydrating is good. I have my 3 yolks in this bowl. That yolk did not want to leave. Weird. Between you and me, I'm not really a fan of these farm fresh eggs. The last couple of batches I've acquired are less than ideal. So in here we have 3 yolks. I'm going to throw in a pinch of salt, pinch of ground pepper, or lemon juice. I'm going to whisk this up. So here's the $1 million question. I'm not going to do this as a double boiler. I'm going to do this as if you don't have the fancy ingredients. So this is going to get whisked up straight on the stovetop on like medium-ish heat. And I'm just going to whisk this up first. I'm going to mute this for just a minute. Okay, I hope that's not too bad. So this is what it's looking like now. I don't want to froth this up too much, but I want this to thicken up. So I'm going to keep stirring it, and I'm going to add the lemon juice now. I'm going to keep this on the heat. It's on like medium-low heat right now. Once it starts turning a lighter color, 30 to 60 seconds, it's going to start turning to a lighter color and thickening up. I'm going to slowly start drizzling in the melted butter. So that's just a little bit of the butter. You know what, I'll do this on the screen. Who's which?
Cord is on the eggs.
Right. That, my friends, is hollandaise sauce. So I'm just going to turn the heat off, keep that warm while I assemble the donuts, make some toast, and then we're going to wrap this up. We'll be done in the next 10 minutes, I think. Okay, so again we have our fresh biscuit. I'm going to fork it right to the middle. I'm going to go around the outside, around the outside, around the outside. And now, with any luck, I can just gently pry this apart. Huzzah! This goes in my toaster, just to toast this up. So I guess that's what you do with the toaster, you toast things. And if you're really good at toasting things, and maybe public speaking, you become a toast master. Sorry. I couldn't resist. Could not resist. Now. We're going to pretend that this bacon is still warm. What I'm going to do is cut out this shape. I'm not going to use the mold to press down because I will cut myself. Because the edges of this circular cookie cutter, they're very sharp. But if all goes according to plan, I've cut out a disc of bacon. Huzzah! And this thing stays together. Stays together perfectly fine. Now, I'm going to take my piece going to find my scissors. How on earth did I lose my scissors? There they are. I can just do this. Snip, 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 snip. Snip, 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 snip. Huzzah! And yeah, I didn't trim this side. You see how well this stays together? It's kind of nice. Kind of really nice. What's not nice is how the bottom fell apart. It's because it's stuck to the loaf pan, but here we are. And now, my friends, we assemble okay, so these are really nice and dark and toasted. The inside is nice and toasted. I've got my Eggy Weggies. You can see that perfect. I've got my bacon round for DJ Nuvo. I need to cut another one very quickly. You know what? She can get one with ham. I cut this ham out for a reason. One egg. A bit of thick hollandaise sauce. And then just a bit of paprika to make this look pretty. We could use some cayenne pepper. The world is my oyster. I'm going to take a picture of this because this looks really pretty. Okay, so here we have it. Eggs Benedict, nice and easy. Now, in the real world, it wouldn't take 3 hours. Dinner is served. I'm gonna go slide this over to DJ Nuvo and see what she thinks.
Looks good.
You look good.
Thanks.
Now mine. Almost a smiley face, yeah. I'm just going to reuse this plate. Oh, for the hollandaise sauce, if you need to keep whisking it until it's serving, it's going to start to coagulate. It's actually turning into something like a pudding or custard, because that's what a custard is. It's like milk fat with cooked egg yolks. It's very French. If you're worried about little lumps from the egg yolk being a little too cooked, you can run this through a strainer. But I trust that I kept this blended up nicely. I don't care about the extra stuff on the bottom. I'm going to throw that out. Or someone might lick the bowl later. For anyone that cares, this is under 5 net grams of carbs. I'm assuming it's 3 biscuits. And the eggs, maybe 6. If anyone cares about the keto stuff. But I don't know, like, I think that looks good. I mean, it's still rustic, which is Vlahos for crappy presentation. I don't know, that's cute. That's cute. If I had more room to spread things out and have more paper towels handy, it'd be a lot easier to use my paper towels to clean up the edges of the bowls, wipe up any extra sauces, and just present this better. But no one's going to complain about this being dropped on your unless you're paying for it, right? No one in your family should complain about this being plunked in front of them. If they do, kick them out. If you can afford the alimony. So I think that's about it. Oh, I'm going to show you the biscuits though. 1 second. I'm a big fan of these little keto biscuits. Again, you can throw in cheese or jalapenos or whatever you want. They cut up nicely. There's like little pockets of bubbles of something in there. The structure, again, it's held together from the whipped egg whites. It helps keep the structure, and then when it starts inflating, it's because of the baking powder and the eggs. The eggs will expand a little bit as well. But when these are warm, you can slather butter on them, and these are really good biscuits. I know these are good. It's a biscuit. It's maybe a touch, like a minute underdone. It's completely fine. It's surprisingly cold over there. And normally my apartment's ultra warm. It's going to soak up some of this Hollandaise sauce, really enjoy it. Little piece of bacon. Oh yeah, that's the stuff. That's the stuff right there. Mmm.
Yummy.
Apparently it's yummy. So the hollandaise sauce, some people, when they see it, they're expecting a cheese sauce. They're not expecting a tangy, really rich egg yolk sauce. If you're going to make this regularly, I don't like recommending using real lemon juice, but it's really consistent. So just figure out how much lemon juice you need. And if you need to adjust, adjust. If you need a little more salt or pepper, adjust. And you'll have a good idea of how much you need after you make it once or twice. The farm eggs that I used, you saw how pale the yolks were to begin with. Normally I prefer to get a much darker, rich, golden yellow, almost orange yolk. And those make for a much, much tastier sauce. But overall, I think these are good. I'm going to dive into this after the stream. I hate eating on stream. I feel weird. I have to like cover my mouth like I'm a Japanese school person. Do the boys do that in Japanimation? Huh. I'm going to have to go watch some anime just to see how how the boys in school eat. Sudeep, are you ready to go? Because I'm just a couple of minutes shy of 3 hours, so I think I'm good. Awesome. So I'm the Vlahos. If anyone wants to follow me, my links have gone through. On my About page are the links to all my socials. There's a Discord. Feel free to ask me anything. I actually have an AMA page, and once I get enough requests in there, I'll either use the channel redemption points or... Oh, ROS Armories. Welcome. Welcome. Or if I need to fill in some time, I'll just crack open the AMA questions. Pretty much nothing is off limits. When in doubt, just PM me and I'll let you know if the question is fair game. I'm not shy. I've been poked and prodded all over the place many times. Mostly unpleasant. So yeah, I'm not really shy about anything. So those chicken teddy bears were awesome. Those were absolutely epic. Yeah, they were great. They were great.
They were so
Yeah. Well, DJ Nuvo thinks that they were so gross, but I don't know. They were kind of adorable. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks Shock for letting me be a part of the MyLiveTube extravaganza for today. And thank you, Sudeep, for taking over. I'm looking forward to your set. Aw, we love you too. Shock, you are awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm going to wrap it up here, and we're going to go raid. I'm pretty sure that I was recording this, so I will share this with Shock, and he will post it on the MyLiveTube YouTube page. And I will also be putting it on my Twitch stream. Yeah, it's not a raid. Right, it's just on to the next, so I just hit stop, and we're good. So, without further ado, thanks again, everyone. Stream controls. Do computer, lots of passwords. Maybe later, no thanks. Cheers, everyone. Opa.